Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Evans. So this is a continuation of my last video where I'm teaching about how to create models for our employee record management system using Python and Django. Now we've created a list of tuple, which is employment type traces. I called it employment type traces. So what you have to do now, simply copy this and then you go to your model field where you have employment type. Employment type, and simply paste it here. So this field on the front end will be a drop down menu where the user can select, the admin can select the employment type, if it is full-time, part-time, flexible, or contract. Now the next field we want to capture is supervisor. So who is gonna be the supervisor of the employee? Say models dot char field null equals true, because sometimes maybe during onboarding there will be no supervisor, so we can just make it null equals true. And we can say blank equals true as well. Blank equals true. So this is an optional field. If the employee don't have supervisor, fine. If it has, you can select. So it wouldn't result to an error if you type something or not. And then you need to say max length equals 120. Now ideally this supervisor should populate from the supervisor list, ideally, so that the user don't start typing the name of the supervisor manually. Otherwise it can result in an error. So yeah, later on we'll design a table for this supervisor, and so we can use choices field to populate it as well. But for now we'll leave it at this. Now the next field I want to capture is start underscore dates. Start date. So this is gonna be easy. Models dot date field. You can use date time field. I think date time field is okay. If you use date field, it's gonna pick only the dates, but if you use date time field, it's gonna pick the time as well. So you can say auto now add equals true. Start dates, and I'm just gonna put end dates in case the employee is a contract staff. So models dot date time field, I'm gonna put auto now add, no, just models dot date time field, it's okay. So we don't need to use auto now or auto now add. So we're gonna select the dates by ourselves. With this auto now add, it's gonna pick the current date and time, so we have to remove this as well, so it doesn't pick the current date and time. So with this we can select our dates and time. You are doing the onboarding today, but maybe the worker needs to start in a week from now, so you can select it by yourself. Now we need another field, which is going to be created at equals models dot date time field. For this you can use auto now add equals true. So this created at is, I'm trying to capture the time that this record was created. So you have to use auto now add equals true. So once the user clicks on save, it will capture when this record was created by selecting the present date and time. Then I need modified whenever you modify the record. So we need to capture the time for audit purposes. Models dot date time field. Now you use auto now equals true. So when you modify it, don't use auto now add. Auto now add is still gonna work, but the most appropriate attribute to use is auto now. So it just gets the current date and time. These are all field name. You can call yours whatever you want. So yeah, I think this should be all the fields that I need to capture for our employee record. For our employee record, these are all the fields. You can add more fields if you want. Add more fields if you want. Now we need to write a few functions. Remember, we have a field called employment ID. And this employment ID, we don't want the user to start typing it manually. So we want to generate this employment ID automatically. Now the first thing you need to do to generate employment ID automatically is to import random, which is going to import the random class that is going to generate our random number. So you say import random. So you come to your import section at the top and import random, and maybe I can import string as well to generate random string. Yeah, but it may not be needed because our random string is gonna be the initials of the organization, but I'm just gonna leave that import. So the next thing you want to do is to create your function that is going to create the random number for your employee ID. So we can write our function in our views.py, or we can write our function in our models.py. Now, based on Django's recommendation, all functions should be written in views.py. But to make this application simpler, I'm gonna write my functions on my model. I'm gonna write this random employee ID generation function on my models.py. I think you're gonna understand it better, and then later on I will copy the code or cut the code and move it to views.py. So if you come across a code that has functions in models.py, you're not gonna be confused. You know how to write both models and functions in your models.py. So yeah, now the first thing you want to do is you define your function. I'm just gonna say define, I'll call it generate unique employee underscore ID. So you can call your function name whatever you want. Yeah, now parenthesis, put self, and then semicolon. Then I need a variable called employee ID. Yeah, employee ID is fine. Employee underscore ID equals. So copy this function name, paste it here, and then yeah. Okay, let me just make this different. I'm gonna call this generate unique ID, just to make it different. Now copy this and then go to your top, and then create a function here. So I'll call it def generate unique employee underscore ID parenthesis semicolon. So I will say prefix equals MEV. So I'm not generating random string, rather I'm using MEV because I'm assuming that the name of the company is Mivab. For example, I'm building this database for a company called Mivab, so I want the first three initials of the company. You can use whatever you want. So I'm saying prefix is equals only verb, and then suffix. Suffix is gonna be equals, put an empty string, and then you say dot join, and then open parenthesis, and then you say random dot choices, and then open parenthesis again, type string dot digits, comma, then you say k equals 10, meaning I want 10 random string numbers. Now you have to say return f string. This is gonna format it, curly brace, you say prefix, go outside of the curly brace, another curly brace, suffix. So this is gonna join your prefix, which is MAV, with this suffix. So this suffix is generating random choices string of 10 characters. If you want it to be smaller, you can say 8 or 20 or 15. Yeah, so this is it. Now this function name that I created, you just scroll down and is this function name. Now the next thing you type while, a while condition to check if an employee ID exists. So this, you pick this employee ID and then space equals to employee ID, your field name. Sorry, this is supposed to be your field name. So come here, this is employment ID. So here you loop inside the employment details. Employment details is this database table. So it checks these database tables, it goes to this table, employee details, and then inside that table it checks for this employment ID field if any record exists that matches employee ID. So you copy this as well, and then you type dot exists colon, enter, then you type employee ID, this employee ID equals generates unique ID, parenthesis, enter, then you return employee ID. So this generate unique ID is this function above that would generate this unique ID. So this is our function, and then the last thing that you need to do is to override the save function of your models. So above here, just come to this point, you define a function called define save. You type self, comma, asterisk, then arguments, comma, asterisk, keywords, and semicolon, press enter, then you type if not self dot employee ID. I'll just copy the field, employment ID, this one, So if not self.employment ID, parenthesis, colon rather, so if not self.employment ID colon self dot employment ID equals self dot generates self dot generates unique employee ID, and then parenthesis, then you say super parenthesis dot save parenthesis, and then asterisk, then args, comma, double asterisk, keywords. So this is how to override the save functionalities. Now I'm just gonna save all. I need to change this variable name so it doesn't confuse you. So first, let me change this to the employee underscore ID so that it doesn't confuse you. Copy this. This is the name of the table, object.filter. Employment ID is the name of the field in the database table. So this will be this, the employee ID. Then return, this will be this, and this will be this. So in here, this one, employment ID, is the database field, this employment ID here. Now let me go over to this point. Now for this place, this is fine. So this is checking the database field. If not self.employment ID, that means if there is no field, if this employment ID does not have a value, then self.employment ID equals self.generate unique employee ID, this method. So at the point before it saves, invariably the employment ID will be null, it will be empty, and that's why I'm using this condition. If not self.employment ID, then it should perform this function, generate unique employment ID. And this generate unique employment ID, it's using this generate unique ID, which is this function that generates the unique ID. So this is how to generate, it's gonna concatenate MEV and then this random 10 strings together with it. So that's it. Now you can decide to separate your own with a slash or with a comma or whatever. So if you want to add that, to make it very easy, I'm just gonna say middle equals quote slash or hyphen, and then I'm gonna say prefix, and then curly brace. Middle. So this is gonna have prefix MEV slash dash suffix, the 10 random string. Now the last thing you want to do is to define your string representation for these models that you created. So what you have to do is you say def define underscore underscore stro underscore underscore parenthesis self inside, and then colon, enter, return, f string, quotes, curly braces, you say self, self dots, I want to return first underscore name, and then I also want to return curly brace self.id. I also want to return curly brace self.departments. So on my database table, I will see the user's first name, their ID, and then the department. Now, there is no place that we define ID in our database table. In our models table, there is no ID. But in Django, once you define a model, it creates an ID for that particular model. And so as you're adding record, if you add maybe employee 1 as Evans, employee 2 as John, their ID is gonna be, the first one is gonna be 1, the second one is gonna be John, and so on. So this will return the first name Evans, maybe space ID, my ID is 10, and also my department. Now this department and this first name, they are fields in this model. First name, you will see department. If you scroll down, yeah, department, and then the ID, I told you whether you define it or not, Django automatically defines the ID field or PK field, primary key. So yeah, this is how to define your string representation. Now in your string representation, you don't need to define all of this. It doesn't have to be 3. It can be 3, it can be 1. You can decide to take off all of this and just return only the first name or the ID or the department. Now the next thing you need to do is to register your models in your admin.py file, because if you don't register it in your admin.py file, when you run your server, you're not gonna see this model inside the admin dashboard. So you need to go to your admin.py file, and then you need to import the model. So you say from models import your model name. So your model name is gonna be employee details. Yeah, then you type admin.size.register, open parenthesis, employment details. Make sure you save everything, click on file, save all, and then you need to run migration now, because if you don't run migration, it's not gonna create this table in your database. So go to these 3 dots, click on terminal, new terminal, and then you type python manage.py make migrations. So if you have an error, it's not gonna migrate it. So I think we have an error here, and it's saying tuple object is not callable, tuple fx. So this is the problem. Go up, you're gonna see all these are supposed to end with a comma, and then go to file, click on save all, and then you have to run migration again. So I'm gonna type python manage.py make migrations. Now we have another issue, and it's saying API employee details department, the field API employee details department was declared with a lazy reference. So I know what the issue is. So in here, we created a department which is a many-to-many field department. So this is a table that we've not created. So even if the table is empty, Django requires that you should create the table for it. So we need to create the model for this department, even if it can be empty. So we need to create it. And so yeah, just come below, you need to create another class. So take care of your indentation. It should be on the same indentation as this first class. So I'm gonna call it class department. And remember what we did, models dot model. Now what you need to capture is name of department you can call yours whatever you want. So models dot char field, max length, I'll just make it 150. I'm gonna say unique equals true, so no two departments can have the same name. Then name of department, yeah, then I'll say some department have code, so I'm gonna just say departments code equals models dot char field, max length, models dot char field, max length equals 20. I'm gonna say unique equals true as well, unique equals true, so that no two department code can be the same thing. Now for this department code as well, I can decide to generate random numbers just the way we generated random numbers here. You know, we generated random number for the employee ID, but I'm gonna leave that to you, so you do it as an assignment. Yeah, so I'm gonna leave mine just like this. So department code is this, and then what else do I need? I need department head. Who is the head of the department? Department head equals should I make it, let me make it a one-to-one field. So I'm gonna say models dot one-to-one field. Which table is it gonna pick the record from? So it's gonna pick, let it come here to this table, this employment details table, and pick a user in there, because even if you're a supervisor or you're a department head, you are still an employee, and your record will be inside this table, employee details. Now I'll say max length equals 120. Yeah, then I can say null equals true, so it's possible that a department will not have a head. Null equals true. Yeah, then you need to say blank equals true, and then I'm gonna say on delete equals models dot on delete equals models model dot models dot set null. So this implies that if the department head is deleted, this field should just be an empty field. So for example, the department head is coming from this employee details. So on the front end, this is gonna be a drop down showing all these employees that have been registered in here. If for any reason the employee gets deleted from this employee record, this field should be set to null. So I have my record Evans in the employee database, and then my department head left the organization. His name is Mike, for example. And in my record is showing that my department head is Mike, but my department head got deleted from the database. So in my department head field is gonna be null. There is also an option for models dot cascade, which is to delete the entire table, but we're not gonna use that, so we're just gonna say models dot none null. So models dot one-to-one field employee details. This is the record that we created, the class that we created above. So it's gonna be a drop down and you select the department head. Now the next field we want to capture is description. So I'm just gonna say description equals models dot text field. I'm gonna use a text field, so it's gonna give us a bigger space to type. Models or text field. Just leave it this way. Now for Django, when you declare a field as a text field, you don't need to declare max length because text fields are designed to hold a large amount of text. So just leave it this way. So the next thing you need to do is created underscore arts equals models dot date time field. Then you say auto now add equals true. Then you say updated at equals models dot date time field auto now equals true. So the updated that you use auto now, but the created that you use auto now add equals true. Now we're done with this model, and so we need to create the string representation of this model as well. So you say def underscore underscore str underscore underscore parenthesis self colon enter return. What do you want to return? I'm just gonna return self dot department. Self dot department name of department. I'm gonna use name of department. Yeah, so that's it. So you see, for this string representation, I made it differently. I just returned only the name of the department. So when you go to your admin dashboard, on this field, what you're gonna see is name of departments. But in here, for this, my string representation is this. I use f string to format it, and then I'm returning the first name of the employee, the ID of the employee, and also the department of the employee. So you can do it either ways. Now we've created our departments, and so yeah, now what I need to do this as well, you need to put it in quotes because this is calling from, we are saying when you want to select the department head, you should populate all employees from this table. Now in a situation whereby you don't have any record in this employee details table and you want to create a department, it's gonna generate an error. So you need to put this inside a string. So with this, if there is no record inside this employee details, then it will tell you no record to select. But if you don't put this string, it's gonna generate an error. And then this field as well is also an optional field. That's why we said null equals to blank equals to. So it's optional. You can decide to select a department head or not. Now you need to save your changes. Go to file, save all, and then I will show you something. Remember, For this model, for this employee details model, we went to admin.py file and registered it. But for our department model, we have not registered it. So I'm going to run migration and start my server, and so we'll see what is gonna happen. So go to your three dots, go to your terminal, click on new terminal, and then type python manage.py make migrations. Whenever you make changes to your models, or you create a new model, you need to make migrations, and then you press enter. Now we have one more error. It's saying max length for our gender field is too short. So I need to fix this. Go up, go to your gender field. We're gonna say gender, so I'm just gonna make this 20. I think that should be all. I shouldn't have any issues again. So you need to save everything, file, save all, and then you go back to your terminal again, type python manage.py make migrations. If there is any errors, it's not gonna migrate the changes. So it has migrated all the changes, and then the next thing you have to do is type python manage.py migrate and press enter. Now before you run python manage.py make migrations, change on your employee details model, change the department to departments. Let it be different from this name, from this other class, from this other model called department. Otherwise you may need to state related name for it. So once this is different from this department table, is going to work. Now the next thing you need to do is you need to create a super user account so that you can access your admin dashboard. To create your super user account, come to your terminal and then type python manage.py create super user, and then you press enter. Now it will ask you username, leave blank to use Lenovo, but I'm just gonna use Eva as my username, and then email address, I'm gonna put my email address, and then password, I'm gonna put a password. You have to repeat the password again. While you type in the password, nothing is gonna show, and then it says super user created successfully. Now you need to run your server so that we can see if this database tables was created. So you type python manage.py run server, press enter. Now you just need to follow this link, click on this link, and then open your server. Now once you click on this link, it takes you to the home page, and in previous lectures I've talked about how to create the home page. And then after we create our backend codes, we're gonna be using React.js to continue building our front end. Remember, this application is, we have two sections of this application. We have the Python and Django parts, and we also have the React parts. So this is our React front end. If we want to see our React front end, we use npm stats. We'll cd into this React front end, do npm start, and see our React interface. But then if we don't do that and we just type python manage.py run server, is gonna take us to the Python and Django front end section. So we will not be using this interface, rather we'll be using our React for front end. So I just want to show you the database tables inside the admin panel. Now you need to come to this your URL and then press a / type admin and press enter. So it takes you to the admin panel, and then once it's finished loading, you put the username you created with python manage.py create super user, and then you put the password, and then you click on login. Now you see in here we have employee details, and it has an issue because it's plural here. So we created two model. So to change this, you need to create a class meta, because by default Django will add an extra s to your model name. So this employee details is this one here, employee details. Assuming we left it at employee detail, then it's gonna make it employee details. So I'm just gonna leave it at this, but I'm gonna define a class meta. Now come to this point, type class meta, and then we're gonna define a verbose name. Type verbose underscore name equals, our verbose name is going to be string employee detail, and then verbose name plural, verbose name underscore plural equals to, I'm still gonna make it employee details. Now I'm just gonna leave it like this, employee details. So now let me save it, click on save all, and then go back to my admin panel and refresh it and see. So you see it has changed it to employee details. Now I'm gonna click it and open it. So here we can add records, we can add new employee details, but then we don't have our departments here. We don't have the department model here because we did not register the department model in our admin.py file like we did with the employee detail. Now, so go back to your code, go to your admin.py file, admin.py file. Here it is. We register the employee details model but not the other one. So in here, comma, and type department. So you need to still do this, admin.sites.register bracket open and close departments. So with this now, you're gonna see the department field, click on save all, go to your admin dashboard again and refresh it so you have departments. Now let's add some record. Click on employee details, click on add employee detail, and then you see, so I'm gonna fill all this form now. Middle name Jane, gender, so I'm gonna select male, date of birth, I'm just gonna click today, but later on in the code we're gonna validate this field very well, so it's not gonna accept anything less than 18 years. Now nationality, I'm gonna select, so this is the countries API that we use with Django. It's populating all the countries, so I'm gonna select Argentina, and then job title, I'll say it left, job title software developer, And then departments, there is no departments here. There is no department yet. That's why I can't select a department. So I'm just gonna leave it at this. Employment type full-time. But if you click this plus sign, it's gonna take you to this department model where you can create departments, and then you're gonna populate departments here. So I'll leave it first. And supervisor is Jane. Start date today. Time now. End dates, let me choose today as well, and time now as well. So now let me, instead of coming over to department, because if I come to this point, okay, I'll just open department in a different tab. Open link in different tab, and then I'm gonna create add a department. So name of department, I'll say IT. Department code is this, and then department head, no department head, because I've not created any employee details here, so I'm gonna leave it null, at null. And then description is whatever I want. I'm gonna click on save. So I have added one department. Now I will come back to my employee details. This is not populating. I need to refresh this page first. So what I will do, I will save this first. Please correct the error. I need to save this first. Nationality, I'll select a country. Let me save this. So I'm having this error because in my code, this my save method is calling inside of this if statement. I need to bring it out. So bring it out, let it be on the same indentation as this if statement, and then click on file, click on save all, and then yeah, you go back to your page and refresh it. Now I have to fill the form again. I remember because we created a department, IT is now showing here. I can click on it, to select it, and then I keep on filling the rest of the field. Now go back to your models.py, and then this employee ID, if you set editables equals false, it means you won't see it on the admin panel. So I'm just gonna remove this for now. Yes, and everything should be alright. Everything should be alright now. Now click on file, save all, and let's just run our server again. Python manage.py run server. So I'm gonna run it on a different port so that there will be no clashes. 8085. And then I'm just gonna copy this code, go to my web browser and paste it. Then I'll go to my admin panel /admin. I'll log in again. Now I'll go to my employee details. Okay, I added one record already, so this is it. And then you see my employee ID, it's actually generated the employee ID for me. This is my departments. You can create more department if you want. If you create another department, let's say logistics, department code, I'm gonna use whatever I want. Department head, because I've created one record, is showing Kennedy now. And then description, I can put whatever I want and click on save. So I have two departments now. If I go to my employee details, while I'm adding a new employee details, I will see two. So one employee can be, you can select two Just hold down shift and then one employee can be in 2 departments or in 1 department. Now in here I'm having this Kennedy 1 and this is not well arranged, so I need to come back to this point. I need to make self.id to be first, self.id, and then I have self.firstname. I'm just gonna take up this and then click on file, click on save all, and then I'm gonna refresh this page. So it has my ID is 1 and then the employee name. Now if you don't click on this link, for example, it's not gonna show you this detailed view. However, from this position now, I want to see some information here. So assuming I have another employee with first name as Kennedy, I'll know that okay, these are more informations about this user. Maybe it's in logistics or procurement department, and this one is in IT department, stuff like that. So I need to generate more information here without clicking on it to go inside and seeing the detailed view. So how to do that? You need to go back to your code and then you need to go to your admin.py file. So in here, you need to define a class. So I'm gonna say class, let me call it employee details admin. So you need to type here admin dot model admin colon, and then you type list underscore display. So what are the items you want to display on a list? Open parenthesis, open a quote, go to your model. So when I open my admin panel, I want to see, I'm doing it for this model, so I want to see the first name. So I'll put it here, comma, quote. I want to see the last name. I'll put it here, comma. I want to see the departments. I'm gonna put it here. Then I want to see the employee ID as well. Employee ID. I'll put it here. Yeah, so this is all you have to do to see more information without going inside the detailed view. Now I'm gonna click on file, click on save all, go back to my web page, and then I'm just gonna refresh this. So it's not running. I need to start my server again. I think I closed it. Okay, so it's up and running. Now it's not still showing. So what you have to do, go back to your admin.py file. You copy this name, employee detail. Let me separate it with underscore so that it's gonna be more clearer. Employee details admin. So this is just a class name. You can call yours whatever you want. Copy this, and where you have your admin.site.register employee details, this is the employee details model, not the department model. So in here you put a comma and then you paste it, and then you click on file, click on save all, come back to your web browser and refresh your page. So the best thing I'm gonna do is just to kill this terminal and then restart it again. So I'm just gonna end it, come to this point, press Ctrl C, and then I think I have an error. It's saying list display cannot be a many-to-many field. Now department is a many-to-many field. If you look at it very well, let me show you. Department is a many-to-many field. You can't include it in list display, so I have to take off this and then maybe I'll add ID, because I told you by default all records, all tables comes with ID by default, whether you define it or not. So this ID is not in our models, is not anywhere in our models, but by default every record must have an ID. So I'm gonna save it, and then I will type python manage.py, run server. I'm still gonna run it on maybe a different port if I want, 8086. So if you just say python manage.py run server, it runs on port 8080. But if you have other applications running on port 8080, you can define another port you want to run it. So I'll copy this, I'll go back to my web browser and I'll paste it, and then I'll go to my admin panel. Now click on employee details. So you see I have the first name, last name, ID, and employee ID, because I defined in my admin.py, I defined list display. So if you add more record here, it's still gonna display. So without clicking on that link, I can see a few details I want to see. So I'll just go back, and then there is another attribute you can add to this. You can add list display link to it. So now I have my link only on this first name. I can come here and type list underscore display links equals first name and maybe ID as well. If you want to add it to the employee ID, is up to you. Yeah, so that's it. So click on file, click on save all, and then come to your browser and you refresh it. You're gonna see you can click on ID now. And that's not all. We still have another attribute you can add, list editable. So for example, if I click in on this name, I can edit the name inside of it, but I can also decide to edit the name right here without going inside of the details. You can do that by coming to your admin.py file, and inside the class you type list underscore editable equals. So what are the fields you want to edit? I want to edit first name if I like. I also want to edit last underscore name, and then go to file and click on save all. However, you should know that once you declare a field as a display, no, hold on. So in here, because first name is a link, you cannot edit, it cannot be part of the fields that you can edit, because something cannot be a link and also editable. So first name cannot be here, otherwise it's gonna give error. So instead of that, I'm gonna add last name instead, because last name is not part of list display link. So the code is whatever it's inside list display link cannot be inside list editable. That's just it. Now click on file, click on save all, and then refresh your page. Now you see I can edit last name, but if I make first name editable, then it cannot be a link, because James in here that I can edit, it cannot be at the same time a link to click. So that's it. Now let's go to the department model. You see I just have just the department name, so we can also list some items here, just exactly what we did with employee details. So go back to your code and what you need to do, create a class as well for your departments. So I'll say class department underscore admin. This can be whatever you want, and then you say admin dot model admin. Then you type list underscore display equals what are the fields in your department. I'll go to my model. So my department has name of department. I will pick it, admin, name of department, comma. My department have department code. I want to see the department code as well. Put it inside there. And my department has, I'm just gonna take department, no, department head cannot go in there because it's a one-to-many field. So description will be too long. So I will pick this, created that, and then I'll put it inside here. Now, if you also want to edit some fields, you can also do that. So I want to be able to edit the name of the department. Then list display, I'm just gonna leave it like that. I don't want it. Okay, I'll say list display, list underscore display equals ID. That should be it. Click on save all. Go back to your web browser and then refresh this. Department is not showing. Now you need to come in here. Here where you have department admin, copy it. You need to add it here. Put a comma and then paste it. And then go to file and save all. And then simply refresh your page. Yeah, we will have an error because, let me see. I think there will be an error. I'm just gonna see what's going on. Yeah, value of list must be a tuple. Now, in here, you need to add a comma and you also need to add a comma here. Okay, I think I declare list display twice. So I'm gonna, this is supposed to be list display, list editable, list display links. This would be list display link, list display links, and you save all. And then also note that your list display link must be defined in list display, otherwise it's gonna give you an error. So I'm gonna add ID as well. And be aware that if you want to edit only one item, you must end it with a comma to show that it's a tuple. Same as this list display link, it has to end with a comma to show that it's a tuple as well. So click on save all, and then you can copy your URL and try it again. And departments, so you see I have the name of the department. Now I have the ID, I have department code, and it created that. So that's it. I'm just gonna stop the video here and then continue my model in another video so it doesn't get too long.